I moved out of my parents' house to go buy me an apartment. It was not a fancy apartment. It was just one I could sit back and stretch my legs a little. The day before I decided to move out of my parents' house, it was Halloween day. I remember helping my mom clean up the house before we would throw our Halloween party we did every year. It was a traditional type of rule we did. Every year of Halloween, me and my family would throw a big party and scare kids who came by to get candy from us. It was Halloween, so why not? I remember one year on Halloween night, there was a knock at the door, and my mom asked if I could answer the door. I opened the door and saw a giant old man. Not like an old man in a costume, like an actual old man who had paint on his face as if he wanted to be a circus clown. I did not judge the old man and began to give the man some candy, except the old man only ate chocolate Skittles, which was a new type of candy. My mom would order this type of candy from a candy store, which was kind of odd, but it was on the internet and was rare to come by. After closing the door, I began to ask my mom if she knew that old man who came by, because you knew about the candy he liked. My mom replied and said, "Yes, I do." And I began to tell me about her past story about this old man. When I was a younger girl, I used to answer the door for trick-or-treat people as well, until one day this giant old man came by and never said a word, just put his bag in front of me, and I gave the old man a Snickers. He nodded, and I said, "What do you like, sir?" The old man began to speak and say, "Chocolate Skittles, chocolate Skittles," in a terrifying tone. That made my skin chill up a little bit after hearing this man speak. It scared me a lot because I was only 8 years old and I never heard of this type of candy. The man was in his 60s, it looked like. My dad then began to come to the front door and told the man to leave and to never come back. As the old man then began and did this terrifying face as he began to walk off, I never seen the man again after that. "Really, Mom? That was the old man who was just at our front step." "I know, son. I saw the man and it was the same man. But don't worry, son. Okay? Don't worry, son." After hearing that story from my mom, I began to worry a little. I went upstairs and logged into my laptop to try and see if this old man was wanted or something. Something I could find information on. Because something about this man did not seem right at all. How is he still alive? My mom's in her 30s, and this man was old when she was a little kid? How is this possible? After searching for hours on my laptop, I came up with something, but nothing really. But I did find something. I don't want to believe it's true. Have you ever heard of insomnia, which is a sleeping disorder? It makes it hard for you to stay asleep. Looking back, the old man was terrifying. He had wrinkles, face painted as if he wanted to be a circus clown. The old man was a giant. He was 6-7 foot tall. He was scary looking and made this terrifying face that you would have to see. You would have to be there and witness to see with your own eyes and experience the fear that I had when he was at my mom's front doorstep. This old man began to give me nightmares. I remember I was trying to fall asleep the same night, and I could not fall asleep. Every time I would close my eyes for a second, I would see the old creepy giant man looking at me with this terrifying face he would make. I did not sleep that night. Instead, I opened up my laptop and began to do more research. I came across some interesting news, which was terrifying if the news were true. In 1873, there was a man who grew up with no parents, nobody at all. There was no foster care during this lonely time. The lonely man's name was never to be found. Just old pictures and stories about this man, which were deep horror stories. I began to keep digging to find out who this old man could have been, and came across this article published in 1973. This old man was a lonely guy who had the dreams of becoming a circus clown and was never good at making jokes or anything that a circus clown could do. He also struggled with sleeping at night. They called this man the dead sleeper. The man was only 19 years old and looked as if he was 60 years old. People began to get scared when this guy would come around and did not want no part in the circus if this man was involved. The old man began to try and sleep so he could stop looking so old. The man began to try and ask for help, but people would just walk away from this man. One night the old man grew a lot. After staring at the ceiling for days to come, the old man began to grow taller and taller every single night until he reached 6'7" height. and was not able to qualify for the circus clown anymore because of his height. This hurt the man and made the old man very, very angry. The man began to start doing horrible, terrifying things to people. In 2001, there was an article about this old creepy man, and it looked and could see that this was the same man who was at my mom's front door asking me for candy on Halloween night. This could not be true. How would this man be alive still? He would have had to be dead. This is impossible, I told myself. It turns out in 2003, the old man began to become stronger after killing his victims with his terrifying face and leaving the scene as if nothing happened at all. People began to question how this man would kill his victims. It could not be from his face. So what did he do to kill his victims? There was another article that was published not too long ago after saying the man is back, explaining in some ways the man has killed innocent people. I began to question this article and reached out to a person named Mila, who was the person who published this article. 3 years later, Mila reached out to me and said, "Am I down for coffee?" I took her offer and I accepted her offer, and we went down to the coffee shop and we got some coffee. I talked to Mila about this article, and what she told me still haunts me every time I close my eyes. You want to know about how he killed his victims? I have witnessed this man kill a lot of people in ways that would seem impossible. One night, I was with my friends and I saw a creepy old man approaching us. Me and my friends crossed the street to get to the other side of the sidewalk, and we went to the movies that was nearby. I thought we lost the man, but after going to the bathroom before the movies, I saw my friend Emma head inside of the women's bathroom on the wall saying, "He's back." I screamed and ran out the movie theaters, not even thinking of what the consequence could have been, and saw the old man making his terrifying face as he was cutting this human up in the dark. And people seeing this happening, people began to scream and call 911. Some people began to rush over there towards the dead body that he sliced up into pieces as if he was going to eat the human body. I asked, why did the man with the terrifying face look like? What did he look like? I asked, and you and me both know this can't be the same guy, right? Mila said, "I have to go. Be safe." After making my way back to the house, walking down the lonely sidewalk, not seeing anything, I made it to my house. I went into my house and saw the most disgusting and terrifying moment of my life. My mom, sister, and brother had been murdered. But not shot murdered. I mean, pieces of my parents' bodies were missing. I began to call 911 and explain what happened to my parents. I began to feel sad and scared. The cops had arrived, and I let the cops do their job. I sat there wondering, why my parents? I asked the cops, after they began to question me, if I knew anybody who would have done this. I said no, I cannot think who would have done this. Then I saw FBI. I showed the FBI the stories about the old man and said, if you could look into these, please, sir. I asked the FBI, which replied, "We will do everything we can in our power to see who did this." As I felt desperately feared out my mind, I began to stay until the investigation was over. It has now been 4 years now, and I've moved into my apartment. After my mom, sister, and brother had passed away, I figured this was a new start in life, and would check my emails from time to time to see if the cops ever found who done this terrible killing to my parents. I would see if I heard any news about the man I looked into, but every time I would never see anything. Nothing at all. The man was a ghost. Nobody knew what this man was. I began to make a cup of coffee and open up my laptop and do more research. This creepy old man, I found that the man was recently found around 2:30 a.m. and I came up with the idea. I'm going to stay up all night until I see this man. The time now was 2:30 a.m. and I could hear footsteps outside my window. I got curious and I looked. I could see a female, a middle-aged female, walking alone as if she was going to meet somebody. This was not my business, so I ignored until I saw the old creepy giant man make his way towards her. As I watched the man come to the woman, and what I saw made me start to shake of fear from this. The old man began to inate the female Like, he opened his mouth and literally ate the female. I was like, this can't be true. It started to grow even much older as he ate the female. I called 911 after this, and the cops arrived, but the man was not found. I waited the next night and went outside and tried to find the man myself. It was a creepy, windy night. Dark, lonely night. I was out looking for the old man. I saw with my eyes that made me scared for my life. The creepy old man making his terrifying face. I wanted to lie and say I ran, but no, I stood there and watched the old man as he made his way towards me. If I had froze up, it was terrifying. The old man face, he was so skinny and tall as he walked up. He was in a movie scene, like if he was tiptoeing towards me. I was stuck and could not run. I started to think to myself, what can I do? Am I going to die like this? As the man pulled out a knife, I unfroze and ran for my life. As I kept running, I would look back just to see if the old man was not behind me. No, the old man was in front of me. The man was fast. Like, it was impossible how fast he was. He could not be human. But what could he have been? A circus clown, I asked? This old man was in front of me. When I got a head start, there's no way. As I turned just to see the creepy old terrifying face looking at me, making me feel paralyzed. Why can I not move? I kept asking, saying, what do you want? Money? What do you want? As the old man made his way towards me and said, I just want to be in the circus. Let me show you a trick. I said, please no, begging the old man to leave me alone. I begged. I was so scared and I did not know what to do. It's like my mind went blank and I was a newborn baby. As I heard sirens that sounded like cops, the old man still stayed there until the cop said, put down the weapon. Hands in the air. The man did not listen, and the cop began to shot the man. As the old man played dead, the man then grabbed the cop and tortured him. As he started to make the cop his next dinner, he ate the cop. I ran and got into the cop car and drove away. I did not look back. As I passed stop signs, I drove fast as I could, possibly to get away from this man. Still to this day, I never go outside at 2:30 a.m. because I still have nightmares of the old creepy giant man making his terrifying face.